welcome back to my channel. By the time that you're seeing this, it has been at least 4 weeks since I posted a video. I had a lot to say because obviously it's been a while, so I have like something typed up on my laptop to the side just to bring me back in so I don't ramble forever without any purpose. So if you see me looking over at that, that's all it is. I don't know if you noticed, but I ended up taking an unintentional break due to like some mental and physical health issues. If you've been watching my channel since the beginning, which has been like 2 months, or 1 month because I wasn't here last month, then you know that I was recently diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. If you are new here, you can check the description box below and you'll find the link to that video if you're interested in hearing my story, how I got diagnosed. Yeah, so go ahead and click that. And on a side note, if you are new here, please be sure to give this video a like and hit the subscribe button. Show me some support on this journey. I'd really appreciate it. But moving on, so being diagnosed with MS was probably the best and the worst thing that has ever happened to me. I'm gonna start with like why it was the worst, and which is also like the reason why I've been away for the past few weeks. I've been expecting this diagnosis since April 2019. I've had a lot of time to sit and absorb this like potential future for myself, and really I just spent the last like 8 months being like anxious and depressed and also a bit in denial. I just kept saying like, oh, but like maybe it's something else, maybe it's not that, like it can't be that, and just yeah. So I mean, like I kind of knew it, like I had a gut feeling and I was preparing myself, or I thought I was preparing myself, but I don't think you really can for something like this. I only got upset like a few times thinking about it, but I tried really hard to just stay calm and like not stress myself out because like maybe it's not that. And November 2019 rolls around and got the official diagnosis. I was still handling it quite well. There was like a few episodes of crying and some like existential crises, but other than that, we were okay. Then my symptoms or flare-ups, attacks, whatever you want to call it, started affecting my day-to-day. So I was able to get used to the double vision I was initially experiencing, and still like live my life with like very little limitations. I even went on a trip to San Francisco, wandered around by myself, and I was working with it as well. So this new flare-up, I don't even know how to explain it. It's unlike anything I've ever felt in my entire life. Go back to like the beginning. In July, I experienced some numbness in my arm, down to my hand, into my fingertips. And after a few weeks, the numbness in the arm went away, but then it lingered in like my thumb and index finger for weeks after that, months maybe. I don't even know like when it went away. It still feels a little bit different, but it's just not, it's not the same as it was before. So that was pretty annoying. Like taking cards out of my wallet, I couldn't really feel what I was grabbing, but whatever, least of my concerns. One day, I had like flipped my head over and was rubbing in the dry shampoo just to like add some extra volume. And when I had come back up, I had this crazy feeling like wash over me. And it started in my shoulder. And all of a sudden, like I felt like paralyzed. My arm felt like lead. And it was the most intense buzzing feeling. I was describing it as numbness for a while, but it's not numbness. It's like it's the opposite. It's this crazy intense buzzing feeling, and my arm feels like lead. And it wasn't until a month or so ago that I realized that when it happens, like I don't really have full control of my hand or my arm. Actually, it also happens in here and in my neck. And if I lean to this side, like my center of gravity is way off and it just like pulls me even further over. It's pretty excruciating. I just sit here and I hold it and I try to breathe and make it go away. But the first few times this happened, It was terrifying. I didn't have a choice but to just cry and shut down and freak out because I was like, holy shit, like what is happening to me right now? And yeah, like that, I honestly, no one will ever understand what I mean unless you've actually gone through it. And I can't find anything online of someone that has a similar situation with me. So super frustrating. And then another thing is, once it started getting cooler out, like probably September, October, I noticed that when I was walking to the streetcar, if I saw the streetcar coming and I ran for a second to catch up to it, I noticed that there was a lot of fatigue in my left hip and down to like my knee, so basically my whole thigh. And after a while, it started doing, I remember the first time it happened was actually Boxing Day. I was walking into Walmart and my leg did the same thing that my arm did. So I started from like the hip and went all the way down my leg. It felt like my kneecap disappeared. It was very uncomfortable. I had to stop and stand like in in between like the sliding doors with Chris and just breathe for a minute. After like a minute or two, I was able to like walk again like it didn't happen. That entire week, I would say like a week and a half, I had it happen between the two of them probably like 6 to 8 times. And then right after that, I noticed that the arm was happening like 2-3 times a day sometimes, which is like, it's terrifying. And even Chris said, he's like I was like really upset about it one time and he wasn't reacting or saying anything to me, and I was like kind of upset that he wasn't acknowledging that I was really uncomfortable and like upset. And he was just like, oh, I'm sorry, like I didn't realize, I just kind of assumed like you were used to it because it just keeps happening. And I was like, no, like it's not easier, it's scarier every time that it happens, because every single time it happens, it's a huge reminder that I really do have this disease. Just everything floods to you about like your potential impending disability, doom, like yeah, it's also just really exhausting. While this was happening like multiple times, this is when like my mental health started to really decline. I was definitely really depressed, really anxious all the time. Every time something felt different in my body, I was like, oh my god, is this MS? Is it something else? Can I do something to fix this? Like it was pretty horrible. So the time that I think it was like a Sunday that it had happened 3 times, and I called into work for the next day because I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the hospital and try to get one of these steroid injections, which you can get, which they can help like speed along the flare up. Apparently they don't like cure or treat anything, but apparently they can help with the like inflammation or something. And so I was so convinced that I wanted to get that because I realized like I can't work when this happens. If this happens when I'm at work, I can't hold glasses, I can't write, I can't punch things in. I literally am debilitated for like the 5 to 10 minutes that's happening, and I can't afford to have that happen in the middle of a lunch rush. Fortunately, Mondays and Tuesdays are not very busy for us, so I knew it wouldn't really affect them too much if I called in. I ended up like doing my research, and I spoke to somebody from high school that also has MS, and they recommended that I do not get the steroid injection. The steroid injections like really wreak havoc on your body, and I realize now that they're really only meant for like severe flare-ups, like you're paralyzed, you're blind, stuff like that. So definitely it was not an option for me before I even like got a chance to speak to the doctor. So I took the next day off of work as well. I was just the on-call, and I was just like, can you not call me in today? I'm really not like feeling it. I'm still kind of like mentally recovering. And even that day it happened, I think like twice. But everybody was completely understanding, so thank God for that. But yeah, being home alone with your thoughts for 2 days while you're dealing with something like that is pretty terrible. You think of all the worst case scenarios and you let yourself get really down and depressed. I even have, like, I filmed this whole process. I just never got around to like editing it because I was watching it back and it was very, very upsetting to see myself like that and to see like how upset I was. I was crying, literally talking about how like it's stuff like this that really makes me appreciate when I'm able to function in life. And it was like very like devastating to see me like that. And we are on episode number 3 for the day. I just want to document like this whole process because I really want to like look back and I want to remember that this happened so that I can appreciate when I do feel really good. I've been doing my research for days now and like admittedly like stressing a little bit about my research, so I've been trying to take it easy. And people are like telling me like, well, why don't you just like forget about it and just like wait and see what happens and then deal with it then. But like I don't think they realize that like the see what happens part has already happened. Like I'm in it now. I'm like living with it now. Like I have the symptoms now, and just because other people can't see them, which honestly I'm grateful for, it doesn't mean they're not there. Just because I'm okay like the 80% of the time or like 90% of the time, like nobody would know that anything is wrong with me until one of these things happens. When it does happen, it really knocks you on your ass because you just spiral and you're like, holy shit, like how broken am I inside for my body to be doing this? Just a lot of unknowns. I really hope that this is just like the worst it's gonna get for me. But everyone just keeps saying like, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. And I acknowledge that and I feel that way too, but it doesn't help. I don't know what I want, because like I don't want people to sit there and feel bad for me, and I find myself being like if I say something about it, people are like, oh my god, oh, and then you have to be like, no, it's not that bad. But then people just like act like you're completely normal and like there's no in between. I got officially diagnosed like a month ago and I still have like a lot to work through. Things kind of turned around a little bit for the better, because that day like I received a call that I was finally going to be getting my medication. So I got it the next day. I started it that night. So the medication I'm on is called Tecfidera. It's a disease modifying therapy. It is one of the it's a newer one. It is an oral tablet or an oral like pill that I get to take twice a day. It also has like very minimal side effects compared to a lot of the other options. We did a loading dose, so it seemed that the side effects that are associated with this drug were more of an inevitability as opposed to just like something that's like said really quickly across the bottom of a TV screen that like probably won't happen to you. You know what I mean? Everything that I read, like have been looking at Reddit forums to see other people's experience. I was like super anxious about that, and that was kind of like eating at me as well. And I experienced some of the side effects. I still am experiencing some of them. But I would definitely say that the side effects are not as bad as like I've made them out to be, which I knew was gonna happen, and which is what always happens, but what can you do? Fast forward 4 weeks, literally to this day, like to this time, an hour from now, I started my first dose of Tecfidera. Okay, so it is now time to take my first Tecfidera dose. Chris comes out and he says, wait, can I hold it? So I was like, okay. So I let him hold it and he goes, wow, I've never held this much money before. It's so stupid. All right, here we go. Well, there's not really any turning back now, so. I am experiencing both side effects. One of the side effects is flushing, which was kind of described like a hot flash, or kind of what I assumed would be a hot flash. It's not. It's a little bit different. And then the other one was like stomach upset. And I've experienced that like a few times, but not too much to like really bother me. Nothing that I really haven't like dealt with before. So like that's okay, I guess. And I always make sure to like eat like a lot of fats, like healthy fats in the morning before I take my medication and before bed. So I think that probably helps a lot. But certain things I experienced, like the first night I woke up and my arms, like my forearms and like my chest and everything was like red and blotchy and super itchy all night. But that's happened to me before. So I didn't think like it was the medication. And then I noticed that I think after like day 3 is the first time I experienced flushing. And if you have, like, I don't know, I've looked it up and I don't think this is the same for everybody. But in my situation, if you have ever done a clay mask, and one of those ones where like it's intense. You can feel it like pulsating your skin underneath. Like it's really working in there. And you let it dry. And then if you move your face and it cracks, you know that burning, like awful feeling, you just want to rinse it and get it off right away? Yeah, that's what happens to me for like 10 to 15 minutes, several times the past few weeks. So I'll show like a little clip here. I just showed like it comes like it's all on my face. It looks like a rash. It feels like I'm on fire from the inside. Like I had a sunburn and went into a hot tub. But I get it. It's along the back of my neck. It gets like really hot and a little bit itchy. It comes down my chest. It's all over my face. Sometimes it's like down my arms. But again, it's manageable. It's just super inconvenient, especially when it happens when I'm like around other people. But I feel like, I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like it's been like getting better the past few weeks. But another thing that I experienced that's such a pain in the ass, it's so annoying, and I really hope it goes away soon because I'm quite fed up with it, and it's dry mouth. So a few hours after I take my morning dose of medication, I notice my mouth gets so dry, and it like so uncomfortable. Eating sucks, talking sucks. I use Biotin mouthwash, which is like for dry mouth, like 2 times, probably like right after I take my medication, and then when I feel it happening, I'll try to run downstairs in the middle of lunch if we're not too busy and try to do it again. It's extremely dry, and I don't really have any answers. I haven't really found much to help me online, and nobody else really knows. Like literally nobody knows how these drugs work. They're just like, oh, we've seen good things, try this. Like no joke, like my neurologist even said, we don't know how these work, just apparently do, so take it. So that's like where we're at with that. There have definitely been like some learning curves as well. Like for example, I experienced some pretty bad fatigue at the beginning. And again, like I don't know what's mental, like what am I doing to, like what I'm doing to myself, what's actually MS, like I have no idea, but I'm just going off like with what feels different for my body. So I was experiencing quite a bit of fatigue, to the point where like I would come home after work and I'd sit down and eat my lunch and then literally pass out on the couch for like an hour or 2. I pretty much had no choice in the matter. I just fell asleep and then woke up and was like, where am I? Which really frustrates me because I'm not a big napper. However, the past few weeks I've really come to value a quick 10-15 minute nap because I have noticed that I don't really get a choice in the matter when it comes to naps anymore. My body's like, nah girl, you're going, see ya. So at least I try to control it. I know what's happening. I set an alarm in my phone for like 15 minutes, pass out, wake back up, and feel like a new bitch. It doesn't happen every day, but I can recognize when it is happening, which is helpful. That was really frustrating. I'm not a napper. I don't like sleeping. I don't like missing any of the day. It's the same reason I wake up extremely early. It's just like who I am as a person. A couple days after this happened, I realized like, this is what I worked the 7:30 that day, and if you have watched me, you know that I hate 7:30s, and when I do the 7:30 shift, I don't work out in the morning. I usually wake up at 6:30 anyways, which is the same time as I have to wake up for the shift, but there's no time for anything other than just getting ready and going to work. So I was like, okay, we don't want to fall asleep after work today. We don't want to feel terrible. So when you get home, you're going to eat. You're going to have your pre-workout, watch some YouTube videos, get excited, get pumped because you love your YouTube videos, and then you're going to do your workout. And I did my workout, and I killed my workout that day because I felt so good that I was actually doing that. And then we went out for groceries, and it was great. I didn't feel tired that day. It was awesome. The flare-ups and adjusting to the medication were just the tip of the iceberg for me. I have mentioned in previous videos, and I will probably make a whole video on this, but I suffer from some disordered eating habits. And I've gotten help for it in the past, which has made like a huge difference in my life. But since being diagnosed, some of my issues have resurfaced. Since I was diagnosed, everybody and their mother has told me about how they know somebody who has MS and they changed their diet and it has like cured them, or they've gone into remission for years and they haven't had any problems and because of their diet. And I'm hearing everything. I rebooked a therapy appointment, which I actually had this past Friday. So excited to be back in therapy. Sometimes you just really need help from somewhere else, and that is the case with me right now. The other thing too, which is actually one of the reasons why like my MS diagnosis has been like the best thing that's ever happened to me, is because like although I've been still working out every single day, not every single day, but like 5-6 days a week since like while all this was happening. I find exercise is like one of the things that really like keeps me together, like mentally and physically, makes me feel my best. It's been really important to me. No matter what was going on and how I was feeling, I had to exercise. The thing I noticed is that something just like switched in me, and I was doing this cardio move, and I realized that not in the mirror, but in my head, I looked like one of those girls in a magazine that was doing like the motion, like in a picture showing you how to do the move. And I realized, or like in a commercial or something like that, I reminded myself that that's literally what I wanted to be. I want to be somebody like that. Like I want to be somebody that like I look to for like motivation and inspiration, and being in the entertainment industry as it was. And it's just something sparked in me, and I was like, we're not letting ourselves feel weak anymore. We're not using this fatigue as an excuse. We're not saying, oh, I can't lift as heavy anymore because it's gonna make me tired, or I am tired so I can't lift as heavy. Like I'm not doing that right now. While I'm capable and able, I need to show myself how strong I can be and actually challenge myself. I've been pushing myself like harder than I've ever pushed myself in my workouts, and not in a bad way at all. Just the fact that like most of the time I would half-ass do a move, or I would go lighter on the weights because I didn't feel like it, or I wouldn't do the 180 jump squats because they were too hard. I would like step them out. But lately I've been pushing myself and saying like, no, you can do this. You're the one holding yourself back. And I've been doing all these things, and it's like the feeling that you get from doing it is like nothing else, and it just changes everything. Though I am not completely back to like normal, I probably never will be back to normal. This is my new normal, I guess. And I still am experiencing these like attacks multiple times a day, as well as now I'm experiencing some pain when I look with my left eye to the right, and I also have like 50%, maybe 60% of vision in my left eye right now. If I close my left eye, I can see completely clearly out of my right eye. If I close my right eye, it's kind of blurry. It's not like perfect vision by any means. And I couldn't like survive on that alone. Like I can't read my computer screen like at all right now. So that's fun. And I don't know if it's dry eyes. I've been using some eye drops to see. I don't know if it's like a silent migraine. It's probably optic neuritis, which is like one of the most common symptoms of MS. I'm just trying to be chill. I handled the double vision. I can handle this. I don't know, like, is it overheating? Like, what is going on here? This is still the best that I felt in weeks, mentally and physically. I keep rambling, even though I have like a literal entire freaking novel written out here to say whatever. I have tried to film this video multiple times already, and I just, every time I watch it again, I don't feel good about it. I don't feel like I've like said everything that I want to say, or I still didn't feel like I was totally like ready to tell that like story yet. But now like I feel ready. I'm so ready to get back to it and stop feeling this way. But also like not having this hobby over the past few weeks has really also like been a downer. I was really excited because I had something to do every single night, and although sometimes that got exhausting, I definitely miss it. I felt like I've kind of like lost my purpose again, and like my motivation and stuff. So I'm very happy to be back in therapy and just talking to someone and not being in my own head all the time, and having someone that can help me cope with this diagnosis and the changes that are going on in my body and help me like reach my goals. I still really want to be an actress. I still want to be in the entertainment industry. I want to become comfortable with my body and not feel so awkward. So I feel confident that I'm finally going to be able to reach my goals this year. A couple of weeks I'm going to be doing my headshots, and I'm actually going to start submitting myself for stuff, even if it's just extra work, like background acting. I just need to finally get out and do it. And me getting back to my channel is like the first step to getting it all back together. So I know I went on and on forever, but I just really wanted to be like transparent in my journey. I wasn't able to share with you while it was happening, unfortunately, but I'm going to work on that and try to have that be like more a regular part of this channel. And like, thank you so much if you have watched this video for this long. I don't even know how long this is going to be, but it's probably gonna be a long one, and I'm literally just sitting here in the same spot talking and talking and talking. But again, seriously, if you are still here and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? I am officially back and you don't want to miss anything. I've got lots of videos coming up about like finally living my life. So again, thank you so much for watching, listening, and I will see you in the next one. So.